Mr. Perry is agreeable on that?
Yes, Judge, he's
Let me go on the record here. We're calling in the state of Missouri versus Nicholas Godejohn. The jury has announced that they have reached a verdict as to both counts. Mr. Perry.
Judge, in speaking with Mr. Godejohn about the issue of if it is first-degree murder, and none of us know what the verdict is going to be, obviously, but if it is first-degree murder, in view of the fact that it's an automatic life without parole sentence on count one, that he's going to waive jury sentencing with regard to count two, which would be the only one which they would have any discretion. If it is a second-degree murder or an involuntary manslaughter on count one, he will not be waiving that.
All right. Mr. Godejohn, would you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear the answers to the questions about to be asked of you today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. You can put your hand down. Now, previously you have requested jury sentencing in this matter. I have no idea what the verdicts are at this point, but you've heard what your attorney has said. Do you wish to waive jury sentencing on count two in the event that the jury finds you guilty of first-degree murder on count one?
Yes, sir.
And if they find you of a lesser on count one, you are still asking for jury sentencing, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Have there been any threats made to you to get you to waive that right?
No, sir.
Have there been any promises?
No, sir.
Have you had enough time to talk about it with Mr. Perry?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Perry, do you believe that your client fully understands his right to jury sentencing and the effect of waiving it in the event that a first-degree conviction is returned on count one?
I do, Judge.
Mr. Patterson, on behalf of the state, do you have any objection to that process?
I do not object to that process.
All right, we'll get the jury in here then. Okay. Thank you. Please be seated. I'll address my remarks to the foreperson. Have you arrived at a unanimous verdict as to both counts in the case in the state of Missouri versus Nicholas Godejohn?
Yes, sir.
Would you pass down the file folders, please? Thank you. Court has reviewed the verdicts and finds them to be in order. It will now announce the verdicts. As to count one, we, the jury, find the defendant, Nicholas Godejohn, guilty of murder in the first degree, as submitted in instruction number 6. We assess and declare the punishment for murder in the first degree at imprisonment for life without the possibility of probation or parole. As to count two, and that's signed by the foreperson. As to count two, we, the jury, find the defendant, Nicholas Godejohn, guilty of armed criminal action as submitted in instruction number 10, signed by the foreperson. Ladies and gentlemen, because only the foreperson signs the verdict forms, I must poll the jury. You'll be asked the following question: are these your verdicts? If they are, answer in the affirmative, yes. If they are not, simply say no. So, Ms. Case, are these your verdicts? Mr. Cleaton, are these your verdicts?
Yes.
Ms. McAfee, are these your verdicts?
Yes.
Mr. Walker, are these your verdicts?
Yes, sir.
No, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. I'm sorry. Mr. Woods, are these your verdicts?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Belando,
Yes,
have I said your name correctly?
yes, you did.
Are these your verdicts?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Stoker, are these your verdicts? Ms. Vaughn, are these your verdicts? Mr. Amicus? Amicus.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Ms. Batiz? Betis?
Davis?
Are these your verdicts?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Coble, are these your verdicts?
Yes, Your Honor.
And finally, Mr. Martin, are these your verdicts?
Yes, sir.
The jury's verdict is unanimous as polled. Ladies and gentlemen, when we started this matter, I told you that we would be having jury sentencing as to the counts in the event of a guilty verdict. The defendant has waived jury sentencing while you were deliberating. As a result, there will not be a need for you to deliberate further today on this case. The admonitions that I gave you earlier about speaking to anyone about the case are lifted. You are free to speak to whomever you choose. If you elect not to, that's fine too. Simply say, I don't wish to speak about it. There are two caveats though. First, you should only discuss your thoughts and views on the trial. Leave it to your fellow jurors if they wish to discuss their views. And secondly, you should never discuss with anyone your deliberations in terms of how the voting went. But with that, I know I speak on everyone in this courtroom. I want to thank you for your service. It's been a long 6 days for each of you. It's, well, frankly, the jury system would not be able to function without individuals such as yourselves willing to serve as jurors in these very difficult cases. If you'd like, my bailiff will take you downstairs and you can check out with Anthony. If you want to visit with me after I have about 5 minutes, I have to speak to the attorneys about something. If you want to wait in the jury room, some of you or all of you, I'm happy to come back and try to answer any questions that you might have. But I'll leave that up to you to decide. All right? But again, I want to thank you. So please rise. And Gary, for those who want to go downstairs, Cassie, you take them down.
Yeah.
And for those who want to wait, I'll be back in about 5 minutes. Please be seated. Since the jury has returned the verdicts of guilty, Mr. Perry, I'll set the time for filing of new trial motions to December 11th. That's including the extra extension of time. If the state wishes to file a response, they should do so by January 4th. I'll order a sentencing assessment to be prepared, and we'll set this for sentencing on January 18th, a Friday, if you're available, Mr. Perry.
Judge, I'm not.
All right. It will be sometime in February then.
That's fine.
That would be February 22nd. And we may need that much time anyway,
Did you say the 22nd?
if that works for your schedule. Does that work for your schedule, Mr. Patterson?
Yes, sir.
February 22nd then, at 11 a.m. Parties will withdraw their exhibits and retain them. Is there any further record, Mr. Perry?
No, Judge.
Mr. Patterson?
Yes, sir.
Gentlemen, I want to thank you for your work in this case. I know both sides have worked very hard. We're in recess.
One request.
Yes.
To have this spotted
I'm not permitted to allow that anymore. I'm sorry, Mr. Perry.
I am remanding you to the custody of the jail. Where do we get this? Where's your girl?
Oh, you're welcome, Judge.